Beatty, please.
Everything looks pretty well in the first district right now.
Thank you. Commissioner Hughes?
Mr. Chairman, let me repeat that, but I was contacted by Representative David Hoffman, our Hollingshead from Republic. If you'll remember, he discussed in our last meeting how they were going to go down on the mattress price. It'd be May 1st before that went in effect. He contacted me today and let me know that he has actually relooked at that and it goes into effect on this date. So other than that, I have nothing else.
Reading that's $25. It's reduced from $40 to $25 for the turn-in of a mattress. Is that correct?
I believe it was actually reduced from $50 to $25.
That's what.
Okay. Okay. Is that all, sir?
That'll be it.
Commissioner Alford, please.
Second district's doing well. I will have an option on E later on where last week I placed on the agenda a motion to submit a letter to our federal legislative delegation to support the sheriff's office request for consideration for funds through the COPS Technology and Equipment Program. We since learned the request should be submitted only to Congressman Chuck Flashman. You each have a copy of the letter in front of you, and I'd love to approve that letter when time comes around. Thank you.
You want to make it now, or well, we've got it on the agenda.
It's on the agenda.
Okay. All right, Commissioner Blake, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A couple of things. One, the Finance Committee met last Thursday at the budget hearing. They had a chance to talk to the IT department, EMA, Emergency Management Agency, the planning department, fire, and roads. Basically had a good opportunity to chat with them about their budget request, understand what they're trying to accomplish with their request and what we can do to help them. One of the things that came out of there that I think we'll all agree on is we get towards the finish line, if you will, of the federal money. As much as possible, their capital outlay requests, we will try to use ARP money as much as possible. I believe planning has some capital outlay request. Fire has some capital, and the road department, in chatting with Superintendent Collins, identified that a dump truck that he needs is his priority. So we'll be working with the budget here. I believe the next thing is we'll be getting some information about how much we've grown here at the end of April, the first week of May, with Assessor of Property Stanley Thompson and all that. And then we'll have the mayor's proposal, and that'll put us in track with the voting of the budget on the last Friday of June this year, as you were aware of. Also, in that discussion in the budget hearing, Crystal, one of the things that came up and we chatted is fire inspection fee. If we are allowed legally to do that, and if so, how do we go about doing that? Our county fire department provides that service. They go out and inspect and make sure everything's okay. But as I understand it right now, there is no charge. So whenever you get a chance before we get to the budget resolutions, if we can put that in there, that'd be great. If you can.
Yes, and I do have that request from Lori, and I will look at that. I do not, unfortunately, have an answer for
Thank you.
today.
Thank you. A lot of things going on in Bradley County as it's warming up. We had an opportunity to visit the Veterans Home. That was a great visit out there. It's the first time I've been out there since we were out there with shovels for about an hour. We didn't really actually work anyway. But yeah, the Veterans Home, and from what I understand, they're making some improvements over there, but we'll have a long way to go on there, Chairman Cry. This past weekend, we went to an event hosted by City Fields. It was a great event. City Fields is our partner. We've worked with them over the years, and they're doing good things and continue to do good things. So we had a great time promoting what they're doing over there at City Fields. Last but not least, Mr. Chairman, I want to congratulate Coach Brew of the Lee baseball team on his 700th win. That's quite a milestone, but from what I understand, the baseball team is having a great season, and we look forward to postseason. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Commissioner Thompson.
County Attorney, you said we were talking about the fire inspector a while ago, and what was the answer on that? What was the question answer on
She
that?
was going to get back to us on that.
Okay, we've always had a fire inspector from the beginning.
The question is, can we have a nominal fee, like $20, $25 or something like that, when they send out the fire inspector. Right now, there is no fee. It's a great service that the fire department provides. And I'm just asking her if we can legally do it. And then if she says, yes, we can, then we'll go forward with billing, collection, and all that kind of stuff. If she says we can't, then we can't.
Okay, I want to know. Thank you.
Commissioner Collins.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's a busy week as I think the General Assembly closes down or they get ready to finish up. Maybe within the last week, we talked about House Bill 1629, Senate Bill 1710. As a matter of fact, it was we sent a letter from Commissioner Blake. This was where the local would receive half of the unencumbered the recording tax that would come back to the community. This was a great bill and something that would help our community and all districts and regions in Tennessee. I think the last we looked, it was stuck behind the budget. I believe that's correct. We sent a bill in support of that. We got a crowded house here today. Would love to have some of our citizens communicate with our legislators saying how important this bill is to our state and in terms of funding for our community. Again, it's House Bill 1629, Senate Bill 1710. Probably will remain behind the budget for this year, but it's something I think that is worth talking about. I think, Commissioner Blake, you estimated it was over $1 million, maybe for us, somewhere roughly around $1 million that would return to us each year, and that money would be designated. So it's a big boost to, to our economy for sure. Anything you want to add to that?
I agree with you. This is the tax that when you record with the Register of Deeds with Donna Swafford, and every single penny, except for her, I think, $5 paper fee, goes up to Nashville into their coffers, and it is a tax that is here locally. And all this bill does is basically say 50% of it stays in Nashville, okay? Then 50% comes back here for the sole purpose of education capital projects or reducing capital debt. I think everybody in here is for education one way or the other. You may have kids or grandkids in their schools. Get ready here in the next month or two for some education capital requests that are going to be quite a bit. This $1 million annually that we estimate would go a long way to help us with that. So if you guys would contact Commissioner Raper, Commissioner Howell, State Senator Adam Lowe, and say, we really would like for you to consider this before you guys adjourn, that would be a big help to not only this commission, but every single one in here. Thank you.
And thank you, Commissioner Blake. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Winters, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've been gone for a week, so it's awfully nice to be back. I got the opportunity to watch our meetings through technology. It's great to be eye in the sky watching the government work from a distance. I'd like to commend particularly our chairman as well as the delegation in Tennessee as well as the state for working with us on the Veterans Home. All of us get calls regarding why cannot the Veterans Home open up a little faster. We spent time due to a letter from our chairman as well as some movement from the legislative body and us working with veterans. It's opened up now to where there's 32 people there rather than 21. And it's moving forward that no longer is the federal bureaucracy in place with problems. They've taken care of theirs. Now it's more in processing personnel and processing where they can actually start taking more people. So kudos to those folks that spent time writing letters and doing telephone calls. Pastor Edward Robinson, a fine pastor, African-American gentleman that's praised for most all the meetings that I've ever been a part of, gets up and brings the voice of God as our pastor today did. His parsonage caught on fire Thursday this past week and was burnt to the ground. It's owned by the church, his church. I saw him just a few moments ago as he was having breakfast. It happened on Thursday. The alarm went off in their house. They jumped out and they were spared. So we thank the Lord for that. And he's a great. He and I worked together on the school board. He was with the city and I was with the county. Just a delightful pastor in this community, done some great things. So remember, he and his congregation in prayer. This is their property that burned to the ground, and now they need to restore that, and we wish them well. I also saw, as I looked through the internet this morning that Steve Sloan passed away. Steve Sloan is a figure of great historic athletic ability, but also being a great man. And I think at 79, passed away. So remember those families and this pastor in your prayers. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's all I have.
Thank you very much. Just a short note on the Veterans Home. We have over 400 people on the waiting list to be admitted there. Many of them weren't or will not be eligible, but but you have 108 rooms, 32 residents. The grand opening was June of last year. If we want to get a definition of complacency at the federal and local level and state level, we have it right here in our local nursing home. It's really a disgrace that we can't get this thing filled up with qualified people. Commissioner Gilbert.
Mr. Chair, I have nothing.
Commissioner Thompson.
The only thing I'd like to add to the Veterans Nursing Home, I'm glad it's moving forward. I'm a veteran and I'm for the veterans. And we have a lot of veterans that live here. And we have veterans right here on this commission. And I appreciate their service, but we've got a nice home over there and hopefully that it's moving forward now. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Goins, please.
Fifth District's looking well, nothing to report.
Commissioner Slater.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have nothing to report today.
Commissioner Mason.
Thank you, Chairman. 6th District's doing well. I'd like to take today to thank our EMS and our fire and rescue. I hope no one ever has to see what I got to see with my brother last week. He's had a stroke, and to see those guys in action, you should feel good that Bradley County, we have the best teams out there. Just to see them perform what they did with my brother, I can honestly say today they saved his life, and I think we should feel good good that we all have these men and women. If you see EMS, fire rescue, even the sheriff's office guys, the city guys, what we see in a day's time, you have no idea what we deal with. The nurses at Erlanger were just unbelievable too. Doctors, so. You see some of these medical profession and EMS and fire, you be sure and tell them thank you and that you appreciate them. And I should have some litter grant updates and stuff next week. Thank you, Chairman.
Commissioner Ledford, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, I'd like to make a comment about City Fields. I grew up in that area for 21 years of my life. I went to school there at Blythe Avenue. So that City Fields is kind of dear to me to see what it is developed to be. So first thing I have is Relay for Life is April 20th, which is next Saturday. Still need donations. I've got my 500 entry fee, so I'm good there, but any donations are appreciated. And also April 20th is a special day for me. It is my 22nd wedding anniversary to my wife, Darlene Alford Ledford, and I know she's probably watching, so thank the Lord for her. And then I also want to throw a thank you out to Adam. I had a lady call me this weekend about broadband on Red Hill Valley Road, and he's got a call back into her to take care of that for broadband. Hopefully that's coming to us and getting out and getting broadband to these folks that need broadband. And other than that, Mr. Chairman, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Rogers, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to welcome City Councilman, District 3, Tom Cassida here, and from our district, District 7, and welcome him here today. I also want to say about City Fields, I was not able to attend the banquet this weekend. I planned on being there, but had a daddy-daughter dance night with my daughter, so I thought that would be a little bit more important to spend time with them. But on Friday, I did get to attend the Cleveland Bradley County Sports Hall of Fame, the Old Timers Banquet. And there was a very long list of people who were inducted into this Hall of Fame, so I won't mention all of them, but I apologize too. But I know that Coach Alford's name was brought up a lot that night from people that he coached during his time, but people such as Alfonso Martin and Chris White, Data Caldwell, Kent Smith, and Paul Ramsey, just to name a few. But I do want to make a special congratulations to my friend Larry McDaniel, who is the Old Timer of the Year. Very well deserved for all that him and he's done from the town squire, and that he's done for our local students, local student athletes as well in our community. And it was a great evening, and thanks for Mayor Kevin Brooks for keeping it. He was the announcer that night, kept it under a couple hours, so it was a good night. So other than that, Mr. Chairman, that's all I've got.
Thank you very much. I'm not aware of any unfinished business. We'll go to the approval of the agenda. Looking for a motion for the Commissioner Hughes and Commissioner Winters. On that, open for discussion. Call the roll, please.
Rogers,
Yes.
Winters,
Yes.
Beatty,
Yes.
Hughes.
Yes.
Alford.
Yes.
Cry,
Yes.
Blake,
Yes.
Collins.
Yes.
Gilbert,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Goins.
Yes.
Slater,
Yes.
Mason,
Yes.
Ledford.
Yes.
It's 14 in favor and none opposed.
Thank you very much. Agenda item A, Commissioner Mike Hughes.
Mr. Chairman, this is a resolution to rezone from rural residential R1 district to rural commercial C1 district. The property is located between the 3700 block of Trewhitt Road southeast and the 2100 block of New Street southeast, identified by tax map 074H, Group C, parcel 003.00. This can be seen on pages 48 and 49. Put that in the form of motion.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Second on Commissioner Slater. We will now go into a public hearing on the rezoning request, and I will limit the speakers to 5 minutes. You will be, if you're still talking at the end of 5 minutes, you'll be asked to stop talking, and then someone on the commission will recognize you for more time, possibly. And if that's the case, then we'll vote on it, and you can continue speaking. Yeah, you can say something, yes. Go ahead.
I'd just like to address the audience, I guess. To let you know, this vote today is not about building an animal shelter. It is about a location to build a shelter. I think everybody up here on this stand wants a new animal shelter. It's not about the animal shelter at all. It's about the location. When we have went through several weeks getting phone calls to and for the location, not about the animal shelter, but location. And I am sure when you were at the church or home, you prayed about it this Sunday. I'm sure you did that to try to get the right answer. I know I did, and the calls that I've got, and I've tried to make the best decision that I could. And I hope everybody here today can see that we have made the right vote according to the many hours we have thought and asked and studied in this issue. And so anyway, it's not on a minute's notice that we're making this decision. We've studied this and went through it for several weeks, and everybody knows how many weeks that we went through it. But like I say, I don't think there's a commissioner up here on this stand that would not vote for an animal shelter. It's about the location. That's all I have, Chairman.
We will now go into a public hearing on this rezoning request. Is there anyone here to speak for or against this request?
Mr. Chairman, members of this committee, Commission, Barry Phillips, are here today to give some thoughts that regarding this property and the location of it and the building this animal shelter on the property. I moved to Waterville in 1964. I've lived there for 60 years. Went to Waterville School and played many ball games in this playground that they're considering building up. This property, as you can see right here, is the thing where we played ball. We'd go out and throw down the bases. If 2 or 3 innings, we'd have to move the bases over because it was muddy. Couldn't play it. We'd run through the outfield, us boys, chasing down balls, and we Standing water, 1, 2 inches deep, puddles 30, 40 foot across. We never understood it. About 10 years ago, my grandson got a metal detector. We went to Waterville School to metal detect. He took his detector, I took my dowsing rods. Those of you who are not familiar with dowsing or witching, the same thing, just different terms. Use the metal rods, they'll cross in front whenever there's something buried, and when it hit water, they'll fold backwards the opposite direction. And I can hold one rod up and it'll spin around and around and around. Finally, it'll stop pointing in the direction that the water's flowing. So that's why I'll know when I find water that there's something really there. So on this here, you see these dark shaded areas on this picture here. That's where all the springs are located and where the water's running. See the dark area down the center, and you'll see it in a picture later. That all this shaded area around there is where the water's in. And all this is part of an aquifer that's located across the street next, Lori, is at the Waterville Golf Course. This whole area here is 40 acres. I worked there as a kid. I've gotten stuck more times on a tractor than there are people in this building today. And so I know the spring water's coming up. It's bedrock pushing up. The pressure, you cannot stop it. It's been there for, I know, 60 years because I've been in it. So all this water flows to that building, that concrete slab. It's a tank 100 foot long and 75 foot wide. The water flows into it. It's not pumped into it. It's just the water's pushing into it. That's where our drinking water comes from. The small building that you see is the pump station for all the water for Southern Bradley County. That's where our drinking water comes from. So you go back across the next, Lori. The next picture here, you see the same area. See these trees are shaded here. That's the same outline as you saw in that first picture. That's where these trees were not planted. They came up by seedlings. The reason there's no trees in the center is because that is where the standing water is. Those seedlings cannot germinate because the water is standing on top of the ground. It's impossible for them to germinate. So therefore, that's what it is it's totally saturated. I'll show you that in a video later. In the but then this small building you see in the left-hand corner up there, that small white building, is a pump station. Waterville School has had sewer problems since it existed. They put that pump station in and pumped the sewer a mile away to Lake Forest School. You see the 6 acres there, they could have pumped it 100 foot, and it'd been in that 6 acres. They knew by their experience that water standing on top of the ground, impossible to put a sewer or septic below it. That's why they didn't put it there. Hundreds of thousands of dollars. You commissioners probably voted on that to us, to give them the money. So the next picture is talks about the Tennessee Code 68-221. That there it stipulates the state of Tennessee says the general requirements only to minimize the possibility of endangering the health and safety of public. Subsurface sewage disposal systems shall not be located, constructed, maintained that waste discharged to and from such facilities does not contaminate any drinking water. It's sitting on top of an aquifer. Does not pollute or contaminate surface or groundwater. And it's a health hazard accessible to the public. So the next one, Lori, it says here from the CDC. They said that the single droppings from a dog can contain 3 million fecal parasites and viruses that pass to humans, adults, and children. There's a school a half a mile away. This water's going there first. This drinking water. It has hookworms, roundworms, tapeworms, salmonella, E. coli, and MRSA. It's all out of this animal feces. It says, in fact, that a single dog can produce more bacteria in one day than a horse, a cow, and a person combined. And every bit of this is going into the ground if they put it in a septic system. It's impossible for it to avoid it because the water standing on top of the ground, it's certainly got to be wet 3 foot down where the septic is. And it says that dog feces is a third on the list of contributors to contaminating water. That's behind oil and chemicals. So all of this is going into that septic, so therefore it's impossible for us not to be polluting our drinking water. And next is right here is the drought conditions for Bradley County for 2024. It says that.
Sir.
Okay. I ask for some more minutes.
Is there anyone on the commission that make a motion? Second, Commissioner Thompson has made a motion to allow you more time to speak. 3 minutes, how much time will it take?
I believe 3 to 4 minutes would do it, sure.
Let's go 3 minutes.
Okay.
Okay,
This
sir.
drought conditions, it says February was a
We're
dry
not gonna vote on
February.
that?
Oh, we need to vote
Oh,
on
I'm
that.
sorry.
I'm sorry. We need to
Okay.
vote on that.
Okay.
Call the roll, please.
Rogers,
Yes.
Winters,
Yes.
Beatty,
Yes.
Hughes.
Yes.
Alford,
No.
Cry,
Yes.
Blake,
Yes.
Collins.
Yes.
Gilbert,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Goins,
Yes.
Slater,
Yes.
Mason,
Yes.
Ledford.
Yes.
Anyone wish to change their vote? It's 13 in favor and 1 opposed.
Thank you. You've got 3 minutes, sir.
Thank you, sir. As I say, this is drought conditions for Bradley County for January, February 2024. February is the driest February on record over the 130 years. And you'll see in this next video here that she's about to show, we had rain on February the 12th, 8/10 of an inch of rain. This video that you're going to see now is on February the 23rd, 11 days later. This is what it is. Folks, you cannot stop groundwater. It's pressure under the ground pushing to the top. The least resistance is going up. And that's what you're going to see in this video right here. I think, Lori, you're too far over that. You're at the beginning of it. Sorry.
It's rewind.
You can hear the sloshing of the water. Go further back to the very front. You see water standing over my shoes. Walk in this area up here near the And this is 11 days. It hadn't rained in 11 days, and this is what's standing on top of the ground on that property. It's the same outfield I played in as I was a kid, not changed in 60 years. I walked this 2 times that day. This is at 4:45 in the afternoon because it was scheduled to rain that night. It rained at 7 o'clock that night. We had 3/10 of an inch of rain. Lori, if you'll go ahead and forward it on over past that dead tree that you found earlier. You're going to see these perk tests that it was done on this property. You can see where the surface water is under this ground. The first one you see is going to be about 2 inches below it. The second one is too. But pay attention to the second perk test hole because you're going to see the groundwater bubbling up through it. That's how like I say, you cannot stop this groundwater. And anybody that would build on a property percolating water like this, I can't imagine why you would even think about it. This is over at the tree line. No perk tests were done in this water because you certainly can't do a perk test in standing water. Won't be the purpose of digging a hole there. This is all on these tree lines that you saw in that second picture.
Time's up.
But here's the
Time's up.
hose right here. Please just allow this.
Ti-
Time's
Point of
up,
order.
sir. Time's up. Thank you.
So my closing statement, I was just, one closing statement is all I have.
Please.
No.
Okay, and that's it. That's all I ask, is please.
Sure.
Yeah.
Make a motion, let him talk.
Got a second, first and a second. Call the roll, please.
No.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
No.
Yes.
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 No.
Yes.
Yes.
Favor, 6 opposed.
8 in favor. Go ahead, sir, finish. Your
Thank you,
closing
Mr.
statement.
Commission. I'm scared. I'm scared for the people who get their drinking water from Southern Bradley County. I'm scared for the SPCA. They build on this property down there. It becomes polluted. The streams and the water becomes polluted. Here comes the EPA. Class action suits again. And we do not want to be the next Captain of June. We don't want to see this company bankrupt. I mean, it's going to devastate them should this happen. It's not worth the risk. And this own commission right here set the 81-page future land use for Bradley County. They gave it to the commission, planning commission there to follow. Each one of y'all, maybe the older ones there, voted for them to go by this 81-page document. If you vote yes today, you're telling them all the votes that they've had in the past regarding residential and commercial property, what is the reason to have an 81-page document? If you can't go by the rules that this commission has laid down and ask these folks here to vote in favor of the Bradley citizens of Bradley County, I don't know what else it's for.
Sir,
It's worth the paper. That's
Appreciate
fine.
now.
That's all I have today, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. I ask that you vote no. Thank you, sir.
thank you very much. Is there anyone here that would
Sir.
like?
Chairman,
Yes,
got one question,
Yeah.
question before he
Yes.
sits down. I talked with the principal that's been down there 14 years, and he told me that they never did fail to go outside unless it was raining. The kids played on that in that field all the time. So obviously we got a conflict here somewhere. But the other side, he said all the Little League people in that area always wanted to come over and play too because they could. And it's always a fight to see which Little League team got to practice there. And he was there 14 years after he brought in a bunch of dirt and leveled it up to some degree. So I just, conflict, a little bit of a conflict of what you're saying, conflict to a guy that was there 14 years and said they went out every day except if it was raining.
We did too as well. We went out and we played in those wet areas and stuff, and we ran around them after, but we played in that, and you can see there today, I didn't make that up. That's a video. It's showing the property today. It's exactly as I told you. And,
thank you very much.
anyone else?
Anyone else?
Okay.
Commissioner Slater?
I'm sorry.
Thanks for coming and being here today. So I just have a couple of comments. That tract is 5 acres, and I'm sure there are spots like that all over those 5 acres that are wet. But that's not the question that's at hand today, is whether the property is wet or not. It's if it meets requirements for rezoning.
Yeah.
SPCA, any one of us up here could choose to buy a swampland if we wanted to. But that doesn't mean it's going to be, be able to have something built on it. The septic systems, do you believe septic systems contaminate the water stream?
Well, human waste is different. We all work. We don't always use the bathroom at home when we go. You're talking about a small amount, and the Cleveland Utilities tells me I use 7,000 gallons a month in my water. That's diluted with washers, baths, and all that is human waste we have, and it's filtered through the ground.
Are you
But
concerned?
we're not. What I'm concerned about is the salmonella, the E. coli, and all the bacteria and stuff that's going into this water directly on top of it,
So are
draining
you,
into it.
are you concerned with the things that the golf course might be using on their golf course getting into the water stream?
Well, that's something that I'm just talking about this particular piece of property.
Well,
the
I'm
golf course.
talking, so I'm asking, you're concerned about the SPCA. Water Golf Course uses things on their grass and things like that to keep their greens nice. Are you not, are you concerned about that getting into the water
That's
system?
something that maybe y'all should consider.
No,
looking into.
I'm asking you.
Well, yeah, it could be a concern as well, but it's what I'm saying is it directly putting a septic on this property is not a good idea, or putting a building on it. I think it'll sink.
So there's perk holes all over that property.
Mhm.
Perk holes all over it. So I'm sure the soil map, as we were told last week, shows the bad areas, and I can't believe that they would build where the bad areas were. And that's all I have, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. I appreciate you being here today.
Anyone else?
Anyone else? Mr. Thompson?
I got one thing. I remember nobody was on the commission when I was at the time that we rented that thing out for a flea market. I've been down, if you hadn't walked that land when it rains, then you need to go down and walk it when it rains. Because I've been down there when it rained and I've been down there when it's dry. But we had a flea market down there at one time, leased it out to somebody for that, for several months. And, it's, like you said, location, I don't know, but septic is what I'm concerned about too. And if you don't have sewer at animal shelter, I don't know how you're gonna get by with a septic tank. I just don't. I can't see that happening.
Well, Mr.
And-
Sheehan from the SPCA, he stood right here last week and said that they would even consider the property on Johnson Boulevard if it was available to them. I mean, this available property that the county has, once the SPCA moves and should they relocate there, that becomes access property. So why not just let them be where they're at, build a building?
Commissioner Rogers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was going to do this later, but since you brought that up now, the SPCA sent a letter to all of us, and including you, Mr. Chairman, that said that considering constructing our new animal adoption center on the existing Johnson Boulevard property, after meeting with a contractor this week to evaluate the land, they determined it wasn't the best option to construct our new facility at this location, at the current location that they're at now. Foremost, the property is not large enough to accommodate the 12,000 square foot building, and it does not provide the appropriate topography and geometry to house a functional building and provide outdoor space for their residents. Due to the lack of space, we cannot simultaneously operate an existing animal shelter and construct a new facility. We will be forced to close the door for 12 months, and they respectfully ask to rezone this property that we're talking about today after we decided to sell it 13-1. Mr. Chairman, I request that these be put in the minutes as read and as brought to the SPCA.
So do it. So done. Put it in the minutes. Anyone else?
Mr. Chairman, one.
Yes, go ahead.
Just a point of clarification. I think that the 13-1 vote was to sell the property. We didn't say where. So to my knowledge, some may have said you all are interested, this group is interested to do it. Our role at that point was to put the property on sale and sell it.
Could I just ask you
That's
to
all
follow
I've-
the guidelines?
that-
of
that's
this?
all I've got to say.
No,
Okay, thank you.
anyone else? Commissioner Blake.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A couple things. Mayor, if you don't mind, wasn't the sale of the property, it was the property that they're applying for rezoning? I mean, there's no ambiguity in that bid process, or all they know is, we knew exactly what we were selling, and they knew exactly what they were buying, correct?
Right. We brought you the property and suggested to put it up as surplus. You approved doing it. We put it out to bid. We brought you the best bid for that property, and you voted to sell it.
So we voted to sell it knowing that what they were going to do with it. They weren't gonna build a merry-go-round there. They were gonna put a dog facility there. Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind, I'd like to ask that the county clerk would read the motion we're getting to vote on, if you don't mind.
Please.
Sorry about that, Don.
Want me to read item A? Item A. Resolution to rezone from rural residential R1 district to rural commercial C1 district, the property located between the 3700 block of Trewhitt Road Southeast and the 2100 block of New Street Southeast, and identified by tax map 074H Group C, parcel 003.00. And that was put in the form of a motion.
Thank you. So, Mr. Chairman, in that motion, nowhere in there does it say county commission should consider the land of, whether there's water or not water, or anything. It is a rezoning request, and only that. Any caveats or, and here those are done, the water issue, if I best understand, is handled with the environmental people at the state level. So the SPCA with their construction people and their engineers have their work cut out for them, but they accepted that when they purchased the land. We have had, best of my knowledge, and I know I shouldn't go by it, my memory, over 30 rezoning requests since I've been up here, and it seems like more in the last couple of years. We have denied some rezoning request. One that comes to mind that we denied because they wanted a junkyard. And from what I understand, in order to have a junkyard, you had to have 25 acres. So that's an if then else. If you had 25 acres, you approved. Otherwise, you don't. It was an if then, it was a Boolean, true, false. This is also the same consideration. It doesn't say whether or not it's a popular vote or whether it's an unpopular vote. It is a rezoning request that have we dotted all of our I's, have we crossed our T's, are we doing what we're supposed to do? And that's the way we should be looking at it, so that we're consistent throughout this. Because we get into trouble and the integrity of what we do is questioned when one day we're for this, one day we're not for this. We need to be consistent with how we go about this. So I encourage us to consider that here in the next few minutes. That's all I had. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Anyone else? Commissioner Gilbert? I'm sorry?
Still in the public hearing.
Go ahead.
Can I proceed, Mr. Chairman? Thank you.
You sure can.
Charlotte Peak from the 4th District. So I just wanted to clarify a few pieces of information that was misinformation. And I'm sure not many of you know, because you weren't on this commission 12 to 14 years ago, but the Planning Commission adopted the future land use plan. The County Commission did not adopt it. Neither does the County Commission tell the Planning Commission everything that they're supposed to do. It's a tool in the toolbox for the Planning Commission only. You guys did not adopt it. That way you have the leeway to vote against whatever the Planning Commission recommends. You are not obligated to vote with the Planning Commission. The second thing I wanted to straighten out is when there's a soil map done, they map the entire 5-acre property. There are more than a couple holes on that property. And that is to give direction of where a septic field should go. Yes, there's plenty, in 5 acres, I'm sure there are plenty of locations that the septic system should not go. And the state government, TDEC in particular, I deal with them on a monthly basis for my septic systems. I'm very aware of how it goes. They are the most stringent they have ever been now, today, because they don't want systems failing. So if there's a soil map done, which they did do, this SPCA did do their due diligence, they did get a soil map done, and the appropriate location will be on there for a building, whether it's SPCA's or not. If it's residential, which it's zoned for now, that would mean a septic system's got to go somewhere on there if it's sold to residential to build houses on. I don't know how many you could get on there. It depends on how many perk holes are available and how many feet of field line they decide to do. So that was the second piece. And like Commissioner Blake said, this is just a rezoning request. When I buy swampland property, it's not up to everybody else to tell me where I'm putting my building. We bring in fill, we bring in compaction. TDEC has a number of things that we have to do to fill swampland up. And contaminating the water system is always on their mind. And we have to check our boxes and jump through hoops a lot of time to build on certain properties that are not ideal. But it's not up to everybody else to tell me where I'm going to build when I'm asking for rezoning. If I'm asking for rezoning, you just need to look at the criteria and see if it's legally acceptable for the rezoning request. And in this case, it was. And I know you guys have already made up your mind, but I just wanted to clarify that so that when things get in the media, we want to correct misinformation. Thank you guys for your time.
Please, sir.
The way I look at it is, this is not about rezoning or anything. It's about drinking water. And someday, Bradley County will need this water to drink. That's the way. It's not swampland, it's spring water. And I understand I've got 3 adopted dogs right now. 2 come from Bradley County and 1 came from Knoxville at the Humane Society in Knoxville. I adopt dogs. I understand dogs need a place to stay. I understand all that. But you do not build a building on spring water. That's common sense. You may need the water someday to drink. You find the property somewhere else which there's lots of places down Dalton Pike you could build it. When I first moved to Cleveland, the first animal shelter was over at the landfill. I adopted a cat over there. To me, it's not about building the building or anything like that. To me, it's about drinking water. If you want to ruin the drinking water, go ahead and build on it. I know I don't want to drink water after a dog went out back and used the bathroom. That's common sense. That's all I got to say.
Need your name, sir.
Charles Pate.
Okay, thank you. Yes, please. I need your name. Microphone, please.
So I have a lot of land that's close by. I have a 110-acre farm. My apartments are on Plantation Drive. I have talked to Louis Alford, and he said if you could find me some land, and I found him some, SPC, on Water Level Highway, 7 miles from Johnson Boulevard. It's almost 9 acres. It's got city water for $126,000. You're going to pay, no, $30,000 for this land over there with the Waterville playground. And by the way, I worked at Waterville School. My kids went there. I did the library at Waterville School, and a lot of times kids would come in with mud on their feet and on their blue jeans. My apartments are there, and so I have a lot at stake. And you're not thinking of the feelings of the community. I expect the income from my apartment to live. Oh. And we built those apartments and sacrificed to build the apartment. So I would have an income, or Bill would have an income in our elderly years. So I need for y'all to think about the people in the Waterville community, the water supply. We have the cleanest water in Bradley County. I'm not against it, but I could find land in 1 hour that you could use more land and see the land that they're spending this $30,000 an acre for is taxpayer dollars. I'm trying to save you money. The land over there is like a swamp. I've been through it. It's terrible. And my land backs right up to the playground. And if I have a problem, listen to me. If I have a problem renting my apartment and the noise, you will meet me in court. I will sue you. Thank you.
Mr. Thompson.
That sounds like it's out my way. You said about 6 or 7 miles out. That's okay. I welcome you out there because as long as it's, of course, I know it's not going to be close to my house.
That was checked on, Mr. Howard, and it's all wooded land. It'd take a fortune to clear it.
Well, it might take a fortune to fill that down there too. So, well, yeah, that's what they make bulldozers for.
I'm sorry. Please come to the mic, sir. Give your name and
Good afternoon. My name's Greg Sample, and I'm her nephew. My family has been on the property right adjacent to this property for over 200 years. So we're very familiar with this property. There's a small field. It was behind what used to be Waterville Grocery. My grandmother ran that grocery store for years. And it's adjacent to this property. This was a dairy farm. Land was very, very important to us, both feed, hay, and grazing. And that field, we didn't use. We'd cut hay on it. We never put cows on that property because of hoof rot. They would stay constantly wet. In the summertime, we would occasionally bring an old plow horse we had. God, I hated that horse. But we would take that horse down there Because my dad would always tell me a horse is smart enough not to go get in the wet, but it was one single horse. But we could only have it there for about 3 months. But I understand this is more about the zoning than it is the water. So I'd like to make sure everybody understands, if we put this facility in there, the only place you can put a driveway is onto a small, I'll be generous and say 2-lane rural road. It's not even painted. I drive an F-150 pickup truck. I'm going up the road and somebody's coming this way. We both have to slow up because you can barely fit in there. Now we're going to dump that traffic into there, then either take that traffic down Trewhitt Road, which is a very windy, curvy road, or we're going to go up to Dalton Pike and feed it all right in front of the fire department. Now I know Trewhitt School sat there for Waterville School sat there for years, and they had traffic problems. But they weren't that bad because they were mitigated by the fact that the school, one, was an elementary school and they don't drive, but two, it fed directly onto Dalton Pike instead of this little side rural road. So I don't even understand how we think we can get any real traffic through there. And as far as bringing in dirt and filling it up so that that land doesn't flood, that's great. All you're going to do is flood everybody else that lives around there because that water's going somewhere. So if you bring that dirt in and fill it up, then all you're going to do is push that water into other people's houses. And so I just think we need to really consider this before we make any permanent plans. There's no red lights, there's no infrastructure, there's just a stop sign. It's a little rural road. And if you bring it up, you're pushing that water out onto everybody else's property. And there's houses there. So what's this guy supposed to do now that his house is flooded? So that's all I've got to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else? I thought I saw a hand come up. Yes.
So you know me, you can set my time to about 2 minutes. It won't take long, I promise. You know, I've been before this commission several times. I want to clear up a couple of things. Number one, I've donated to the SPCA very small amounts. Cheryl, not here. She can verify, but my understanding, this isn't taxpayer dollars that the SPCA is spending. If I'm mistaken, someone please correct me. Okay, that's first of all. Second of all, to hear the talk of the animals and dogs using the restroom on the ground, if we took everything that's been shown here today, you just about got to ban animals because we couldn't drink water. But luckily, we have filtration systems and we have Mother Earth that filters these waters before they get into the aquifers and all that good stuff. And lastly, I stood before you all against a rezoning in my area. And I was very respectfully told I didn't own the land and it was rezoned. It was outside the 20-year growth plan. That's okay. Keep in mind, you're looking at a rezoning. This 20-year growth plan has not always been followed. I believe Richard Burnett said at the Planning Commission meeting very correctly that it is one of many tools that is a guide for the commission. Okay? So we aren't spending the tax dollars on the land, and if they're building a 12,000 square foot facility, I venture to say they're probably going to have people that are actual experts, not me, that tell them how to do it. That's all I have to say.
Thank you very much. Anyone else, please? Yes.
I'm Steve Anderson. I am the chairman on the SPCA board. First of all, I'd like to present to our minutes our petition to the commission. Verified Bradley.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I request those be placed in the minutes today.
Today we have an easy vote, as far as I'm concerned, presented in front of us. We have provided you with the test results from the PERC test, which I have right here. Has everyone had an opportunity to see this? Okay. So we do have results from the perk test, performed by David Myers, who's considered an expert in his profession. Ultimately, the state is not going to issue us a permit for a sewer system if they think we're going to contaminate the water. I mean, that's just the end of it. Whether it's the SPCA, whether it's Family Dollar, no matter what, they will not issue something if they think we're going to contaminate the groundwater. So in my opinion, that's not really a concern that I think that the county or state would even let us begin to do. We've heard from the zoning commission that the map that we used is extremely outdated. There's no debate about that. The planning commission has mentioned that. Ron has mentioned that. Also, Mr. Ron Wilson has stated several times last Monday in our meeting that there is absolutely no legal reason why this property should not be rezoned. So there's no legal reason. This shouldn't be about where this location is. This should be ultimately about the SPCA is privately funding this building, this facility for this community, whether it's in the 6th district, 5th district, which it currently is now. And I will say, 10 years the SPCA has existed in that building, and I have yet, in 11 years of being in office, ever had one time that anybody had ever called and complained over smell or noise. Now, if any of you guys have, that's nothing I've heard, but 10 years they've existed and never had a problem. And currently, they just recently built 3 brand new houses across the street. So we talked about property values. Those houses sold as soon as they built, just as soon as they built. So that's why I say it should be an easy vote today. I just kindly ask that you move forward. We're not asking about the location, whether it's underwater, above water. We're simply here today to say rezone this property that was sold to the SPCA. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Anyone else? Please. Your name, please.
Hi, my name is Liana Dela Cruz, and I apologize, I wasn't planning on speaking, so I'm not very prepared. I'm relatively new to Bradley County, so again, I apologize if I'm not too familiar with the procedures that go along in government here. Prior to moving here, I spent time working as a law enforcement officer for 5 years, and I also worked as a zoning enforcement officer, so I am a little bit familiar with planning and zoning as well. I know my time with planning and zoning was spent in Arizona. Things are a little bit different there than they are here, I'm sure. But during my time there, I do recall when we would have meetings such as these, rezoning had to do with what would fall into compliance with the zoning guidelines, and not so much with issues such as what would come up during building safety, such as water, electric, items such as those that will get addressed later on through a different avenue of the building process. So I do believe that the rezoning should be strictly based on, does it fall within what the county has in its guidelines and in its zoning procedures? I'm not sure what they're referred to exactly here in Bradley County. Again, forgive me if there's some terminology differences here. I do trust that the SPCA has done research on how to appropriately manage the waste issues that may come up on the property. I personally have been involved in various avenues of animal rescue since I was a teenager. I've volunteered at different animal shelters, and everyone that I've been at has always had a very good protocol and management of properly disposing of waste. I do feel if there's such an issue of spring water here, that really should have been addressed prior to even selling that property at all. If it was something that was not able to be used for building in the first place, it should have been handled differently at that point. But at this point in time, I do believe that the SPCA has done their research. They do, most likely, I'm sure they have a good plan on how to mitigate these concerns that have been brought up thus far. But at this point in time, why we're here today is for rezoning and to determine if this rezoning falls within the county's guidelines. Thank you.
Anyone else? Anyone else? Okay. The public hearing is now closed. If there's no further discussion, call the roll, please.
Rogers,
Yes.
Winters,
No.
Beatty,
Yes.
Hughes.
No.
Alford.
Yes.
Cry.
No.
Blake.
Yes.
Collins.
Yes.
Gilbert.
No.
Thompson.
No.
Goins.
Yes.
Slater.
Yes.
Mason.
No.
Ledford.
No.
Anyone wish to change their vote? That's 7 in favor and 7 opposed.
Motion fails. All right. Agenda item B, Commissioner Cindy Slater.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a motion to submit a letter to our federal delegation supporting the grant application for the Bradley Central High School Science Wing Safe Room. It's listed on page 50 in your packet, and I put this in the form of a motion.
Second.
Who was the second? We had a second on Commissioner Collins here. We'll let everyone clear out before we continue. We've had a motion and a second on the agenda item B, open for discussion, please. There being no discussion, call the roll.
Rogers.
It's mine. It's the one for the resolution.
Winters.
Yes.
Beatty.
Yes.
Hughes.
Yes.
Alford.
Yes.
Cry.
Yes.
Blake.
Yes.
Collins.
Yes.
Gilbert.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Goins.
Yes.
Slater.
Yes.
Mason.
Yes.
Ledford.
Yes.
It's 14 in favor and none opposed.
Thank you very much. Agenda item C, Commissioner Mylon Blake.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Resolution authorizing the Hiwassee Utilities Commission of Bradley County and McMinn County to negotiate and purchase property located at 3930 Chatata Valley Road in Charleston, Tennessee, and further authorizing, upon successful purchase of said property, for Bradley County to be titled owner of the property to be held in trust for the Hawaii Utility Commission. Put that in form of motion. Thank you.
Do I have a second, please?
Second.
Commissioner Slater on the second. Open for discussion. Being no discussion, call the roll, please.
Rogers.
Yes.
Winters.
Yes.
Beatty.
Yes.
Hughes.
Yes.
Alford.
Yes.
Cry.
Yes.
Blake.
Yes.
Collins.
Yes.
Gilbert.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Goins.
Yes.
Slater.
Yes.
Mason.
Yes.
Ledford.
Yes.
It's 14 in favor and none opposed.
Thank you. Agenda item D, Commissioner Mike Hughes.
Mr. Chairman, this is a resolution authorizing Bradley County Mayor to execute an amendment extending interlocal agreement with the City of Charleston for property and records management services. I put that in form of motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second on Commissioner Slater. Open for discussion. Call the roll, please.
Rogers.
Yes.
Winters.
Yes.
Beatty.
Yes.
Hughes.
Yes.
Alford.
Yes.
Cry.
Yes.
Blake.
Yes.
Collins.
Yes.
Gilbert.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Goins.
Yes.
Slater.
Yes.
Mason.
Yes.
Ledford.
Yes.
It's 14 in favor and none opposed.
Thank you. Agenda item E, Commissioner Louis Alford.
Motion to approve a letter to our federal legislative delegation supporting the Bradley County Sheriff's Office requesting the consideration for funds through the COPS Technology and Equipment Program. You see it on page 54. I put that in form of motion.
Second.
Commissioner Bill Winters on the second.
Whoa, whoa.
Do what?
That's the one you read.
We'll go back.
Please.
Last week, based on
Second.
Commissioner Winters had already seconded it. Open for discussion. Call the roll, please.
Rogers.
Yes.
Winters.
Yes.
Beatty?
Yes.
Hughes?
Yes.
Alford?
Yes.
Cry?
Yes.
Blake?
Yes.
Collins?
Yes.
Gilbert?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Goins?
Yes.
Slater?
Yes.
Mason?
Yes.
Ledford?
Yes.
It's 14 in favor and none opposed.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll now go to communication from the audience. We'll recognize and allow 5 minutes to anyone wishing to speak. Is there anyone from the audience that would like to address the commission? There be no one. The announcements, next meeting, work session, April the 22nd at 7 p.m. here at the courthouse. Upcoming events, Truesdale School Outdoor Classroom Ribbon Cutting, April the 18th at 11 a.m. at Truesdale School. Public Library Foundation Luncheon, April the 18th at noon at the Public Library. Truesdale School Open House, April the 18th, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Truesdale School. Military Appreciation Day, April the 20th, noon, Lee University Baseball Field. Relay for Life, April the 20th at 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. downtown.